Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. At this time, I will call to order the regular meeting of the La Quinta City Council for Tuesday, April 1, 2014. May we please have the roll call, Susan?
Council members Evans.
Present.
Franklin.
Here.
Henderson.
Present.
Osborne.
Here.
Mayor Adolph.
Here. At this time, I'll ask that you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Place your hand over your heart and repeat with me, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First item on the agenda is public comment. Anyone wishing to speak on an item which is on the agenda, I'd ask that you please fill out a request to speak form. It's a form like this. It's at the back of the room, and give it to our city clerk. At this time, anyone wishing to speak on an item not on the agenda may do so. I do have 3 requests, so what I do is if I call you up to the podium, give you hopefully about 3 minutes, and you can say whatever you'd like to say. Please give us your name and address for the record that goes on the recorder. At this time, then, Dave Losser. Dave, come on up.
My name's Dave Losser, and I think Don is the only one I think I've talked to on the board. And
Your address, please,
oh,
Dave.
yeah, I'm Dave Losser, and it's 79815 Horseshoe Road. And I appreciate you listening to me today. You've listened to my wife a couple of times in the last month. I'm pleading with you here today that you fix our flooding problem at Horseshoe Road. If any of you are in real estate or legal or whatever, you would not have put up with this long. We are done. We're done with messing with this. Tim has helped us. He's bent over backwards to help us. But there's people that don't believe that it rains here in the desert, and it will flood. The golf course illegally put up a berm, and it needs to come down. That water does not need to be dammed on Horseshoe Road. It backs up, it floods. You've seen all of the pictures. If I had a shovel and you gave me the permission, I would have it down in a day. I'm 62 years old, I'm in good shape, it will come down. And if it rains and I'm there, it will come down. I don't know what the golf course can do to me, but they put it up illegally, it's got to come down. That's my first request, is have that berm of dirt come down, please. I don't know if there's attorneys here or whatever. I don't want to go legal. And Don, I've talked to you about this, I do not want to go legal, but it's my last recourse. 14 years is enough. We bought the property, we never had any problems. Ever since the city did the improvements, that well is not adequate. Snellenberger put that berm up to not allow water coming on his precious golf course. It goes on the golf course anyway. It goes through our house and floods our house. We're done. We sustained approximately $18,000 of damage, and we'd like the city to reimburse us for that. We've paid tax, we've made our tax payments through the years. We've been here since the early 90s in Palm Desert, and we thought we'd come to the gym, get away from the gas pirating and so forth, and La Quinta's been great to us. But this has got to stop. No longer are we gonna mess with this anymore. And I think you would do the same thing if you were in my position. So please, those 2 things, take that damn berm down, or give us a swell so the water can naturally flow. That's what its purpose was in the very beginning. Water to flow to a natural holding pond everywhere throughout the city. There's a reason for homes that are built 20 feet up above the floor of the desert. It floods. Every time you take a walk, flash flood warning. It's a joke that our house is on Lake Horseshoe. Every time it rains, we've been flooded almost, 8 times? And it's got to stop. Every time it looks like it's gonna rain, and this past time, like a month ago, my wife I went to the, I did proactive. I went to the fire department. They gave us all the sandbags we wanted. Why should we have to have sandbags when we don't have to have this problem? Please, I implore you to give me the power, or you guys tell Bill Neal, Indian Gulf Springs Golf Course, to take that berm down, or at least cut a swell so it will naturally flow. Granted, this was a bad flood, bad water, but it happens every time. There's a sea of water up there, and all it happens to happen is the right amount of water right where it is. Just a month ago, it was ready to nail us again. The winds blew it to different parts of the city, the flush. They're building the canals bigger so it can handle more water. There's more water in the skies. Please, 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 please. And that's it. If you have any questions of me, you've seen the file. I'm done. If I don't have a commitment from the city that will reimburse us the $18,000 and get that berm down this summer, by this summer, I'm going to try and sell, and you're in real estate, I can't sell the property. I will have to get an attorney, and maybe there's attorneys out there that will help me get this berm taken down. What do I have to dig and be thrown in jail for protecting my property? Please. Does anybody have any questions? Am I clear enough?
You're clear.
Okay. And I've got all the stats, I've got everything. My wife and I have worked trying to save money. I've had my table saw out there, cutting all the cabinets to save the cabinets. The water soaked up in all of our furniture. I've thrown away stereo equipment, clothes, done all the work ourselves. It's all in that package. I'm not trying to take the city for money. Just reimburse me and make me have peace of mind that I can live in my home. That's American, right? I'm wearing red, white, and blue. Please help me out. Save my home. I don't want to go legal.
Yeah. Dave, it's our policy, we don't respond really to things other than to say, at this point, I know what you're saying. The first thing I talked to Tim this morning, the first question I asked him, how do we stand on your situation and that? And Tim's responding to me on the thing, and we're moving forward on it. And that I don't know our legal status. Something we'll talk to our city attorney about the rights to go ahead and do something like what you're saying without getting the approval of the golf course people.
Yeah, whatever. If I have to sue,
no,
let me know. I will go after him.
Dave, I haven't forgotten it. We're moving on it, and that it just, like I say, it just takes time. You might say, city bureaucracy and that's going on.
Yeah, but when my home's threatened.
Yeah, no. We've seen the pictures, and I know exactly what you've gone through.
And all this money and all the surveying, just take the berm down. It's cheap.
Yeah,
it's done.
When
in
he
a
dammed
day.
it up, that caused the problems.
Yes,
We understand.
It's illegal.
Yeah.
So the city, if they don't have the power, who has the power to take that damn berm down? You wouldn't stand for it, and you guys wouldn't stand for it this long. I'm done. I'm done. If this is the gem of the city or a gem of the desert, please get that. Well, I don't need to say it 3 more times. Thank you.
Dave,
I appreciate you listening to me, but I hope you hear me loud and clear.
Oh, we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. All right, Phil Pettibone?
Phil Pettibone, 54105 Avenida Mendoza in Quinta Cove. I'm here simply because I want my car back. The city took my car. I'd like it back.
Just send, you're gonna have to speak to a staff member.
Okay.
Because none of us have your car,
All right.
and I don't know where it is.
Okay.
So we need to direct the gentleman to.
Well.
We have had a long conversation with Mr. Pettibone about this and see the material that he presented here as a result of a March 2013 action. Maybe we can turn the volume down just a tad. But basically, I will work with Les and find out the disposition of where the car is at and the procedures for getting it released.
Okay.
Okay, I've done nothing wrong, I just want it back. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, John, Friends of the Desert Mountains? Oh, and Bob, you want to come up too? Come on.
Actually, this is, with respect to an agenda item, do you want us to come up later? It has to do with one of the grants?
Oh, you want to do this with the, no, it's just not on the agenda, but, okay. You want to come up when we go through the grants?
If that's the...
Yeah, okay. That's the best time to do it. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all the request I have to speak. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll move on to confirmation of agenda. Are there any changes, additions, or deletions by staff?
We have none?
By council members? Okay. Presentations. I guess it's my privilege to introduce Lauren, our new general manager of Sunline, and I think she's here to introduce herself to the council and to our staff. Lauren.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. I just wanted to come before you today to introduce myself. I am Lauren Skyver. I am the new General Manager for Sunline. I've been on board for about 5 months. I wanted to come in front of you to introduce you to myself and to Sunline and make sure that you had a face with a position. If any constituents in the valley in your area need help with transit, for you to understand how it's our job to promote transit and to provide more transit to the citizens of La Quinta, how we are going to work harder to connect them to employment, education, and leisure activities throughout the valley, and just for you to get to know me a little bit, for me to say hello, and to leave a few of my cards should you have any questions for anyone at Sunline, and if we can be any help to any residents here in your district.
Yeah. Lauren, and maybe council will be interested in this. This morning I had a meeting with Frank and Tim Jonason. We had a Sunline board meeting last week, and a gentleman from Summit Special Ed High School came before us, and he was complaining about the bus stops because some of these kids that are at Summit High School are they don't have the either the mental or the physical attributes to walk long distances to find a bus stop and that. And of course, the first question that I asked her was there a way that we could redistrict our buses so that they could stop there. Well, one of the problems is it gets the traffic on Palm Royale gets awful tough at times and that, but maybe timing wise they could reschedule themselves. But the other thing was maybe putting a bus stop there at the corner of Palm Royale and Fred Waring. The other one is clear on Washington and Fred Waring, and there's no sidewalk to get down there. It's all desert and that. So it makes it difficult for some of those students to be able to walk to it. So one of the things that we had at our board meeting was what could be done to maybe help the students there with their bus services. Tim is going to work up a preliminary cost for us, what it would cost us to do it right there at the intersection there to make it close, and hopefully Sunline will look at the possibilities of redirecting our buses that could stop at certain times there at the school. So Lauren, we didn't forget it, and one of our citizens, and the fact that the school is in the city of La Quinta, we want to be able to help those students as much as we can, especially those who have disabilities.
If I could, Mr. Mayor, we did want to give a special shout out to your staff who have worked so closely with us on engineering and traffic studies for the bus stops that we want to put into La Quinta and how we can get those done as quickly as possible. So I'm here to say we're very appreciative of the cooperation that we get with all the staff here at the city. And we appreciate the relationship we've been able to build, just like helping these students with disabilities in a very fantastic program at Summit High School, one of the best that I've ever seen. So again, I have a couple cards here. If anyone ever needs to get a hold of me, please don't hesitate. If there are questions or service needs that you have, we're here to serve the public just as you are. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lauren. Okay. That was all we had for presentations. We have no written communications, so I'll ask for approval of minutes of March 18.
So moved. Second.
Moved and second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. We'll move on to the consent calendar.
Move consent calendar. Second.
Moved and second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. We'll move on to the business session, and that's approved second round community services grant and funding request. Staff report, Edie?
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, council members, mayor and council members. Robert Ambrose is going to give you the grant staff report today. Thank you.
Honorable Mayor and City Council members, today we bring to you our second round of community services grants. This round, we had 11 grant applications submitted for a total of $44,000 in grant requests. There's currently $24,900 in the special project account, and the ad hoc committee, consisting of Mayor Adolph and Councilmember Osborne, is recommending funding $12,300 to 4 of the nonprofit organizations that submitted. Those 4 organizations and the amounts recommended are Desert Arc for a facility use fee waiver of $6,300, Friends of the Desert Mountains for $2,000, La Quinta High School Baseball Booster Club for $2,000, and La Quinta High School Softball Booster Club for $2,000. That concludes my staff report, unless council should have any further questions.
You might mention, Robert, the reasons why some of them have not gotten a request.
Right. Absolutely. We did have 4 of the grant applicants were not eligible simply for the reason it is stated in the Community Services Grant Guidelines that they are not eligible for consecutive fiscal year funding. And we had 4 of those applicants submit and were awarded just last fiscal year in the 12 to 13 fiscal year. So this 13-14 year, they were ineligible. They were all notified by staff and explained the situation. They understood and were invited to reapply in the 14-15 fiscal year.
Yes, so they can.
Yes,
next
and
year.
there were 4 grant applicants, and they're listed in your staff report of who those
because they
organizations
were
are.
eligible, there's no question about it, but
Correct.
they had been funded last year and not eligible. Okay.
A question, if I could please, Mr. Mayor. There must be a simpler way of doing that. I mean, once they come in, you automatically know that they're ineligible. Why don't we just handle that at the staff level instead of bringing it to the council on a business item?
We could do that. Edie and I had felt that it was the council's, should be the council's jurisdiction to make, see that they did not want to fund any of those organizations because it is within your power to make that decision of to still fund them or not. But if council chooses for them not to even get that far in the process, we can eliminate it. We just didn't feel as staff we should make that decision.
Well, and I guess I can understand that, but all it really does is give us the opportunity to go against our own policy that we put in place, and for a very good reason. So I would recommend, and I don't know where the rest of the council is, that you handle that and before it even gets here.
I actually would prefer to still see it with that explanation, only because as these organizations might talk to us saying, we, submitted a grant, or they say we submitted but we understand we can't do, we at least have awareness that they've submitted and requested it and that we have a response to them. So if there's a summary.
We really don't have the awareness until a couple of days before the council meeting. So they may have,
communicated
2 weeks ago, might have said something to you. So, anyway.
Edie, do you know, have we ever violated that policy?
I know they've made exceptions too.
Robert believes that there was one occasion that we didn't do that we funded a group, but we can't recall the name, and we'd have to go back and research that.
But it's been some time ago.
For the most part, at least since I've been here, you've really stuck to the guidelines, and it's helpful to us as staff to do that. We'd be happy to do that if that's what you'd like us to do. We just didn't feel like that was within our
That may have been
purview
a
to make that
facility use
decision.
issue. I think we had a couple of them at the facility use standpoint at the senior center, whether it's the Optimist Club or something like that.
That's actually a very good point, Councilmember Osborne.
that's
Actually,
it.
the Desert Arc was funded last fiscal year, but it was not for facility rental usage. Whereas this year's guidelines state that it can be consecutive as long as it's for facility rental usage.
Okay.
So there's kind of like that fine line right there as well of what you're speaking of. So, yeah.
We
Yeah,
have
we
to
don't wanna
pay
set
close
precedent.
attention to that.
Christie?
Yes, was it the Artisan Studio that we funded ahead of time?
That may have been it.
I think it was, yeah.
I would have to research that. I
Yeah.
apologize. I can't think
Yeah.
off the top of my head, but I know there was an
Not that it really
incident.
matters, but somehow that just rings a bell with me.
I think you're right, and that's because they hadn't qualified for the 501c3 yet,
Right.
and then when they did, we did that
I think
Yeah.
that might have been.
for the
Yeah.
soup galas.
Good.
The other comment that I have is that I like how we're doing this, but I would like to give you, staff the discretion to not put this into the body of request, but maybe an addendum as a staff report. Just, and you don't need to really talk about, I think, the agencies, just, let's see, General Patton Memorial Museum, not funded because of, blah, 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 not funded because of, okay? And then I have one other question on the Galilee Center. I understand what they do, and there are not so many folks in La Quinta that they serve. Did they still have an opportunity for everyone to look at them?
They did.
Okay.
We provide all of the grants to the ad hoc committee and then tell them if there's anything they would need to know that they might have missed in the applications. But whether they're eligible from the date, or we point out the numbers so that you could see it thoroughly and make those decisions.
Okay, the reason that I ask is I did an interview with them last week with respect to the Desert Charities. And one of the women that I was talking to said that they had applied for a grant, but the staff had told them they weren't eligible. So I was...
That would have been after the
Yeah.
communication with our ad hoc committee.
Okay, all right. Okay. But my question then is, and I'm not blindsiding staff at all, but suppose we tonight had decided that we wanted to add them, because we have that option, and you've already told them that they're...
Well, what we generally tell them, and Robert does this, is that the ad hoc committee is not recommending them.
Okay.
And that they're eligible to come to the meeting and make their case.
Good,
And
okay.
actually, in several cases, you've overturned that ad hoc committee.
Sure.
So we never tell them that they don't get it. We
Okay.
tell them that the ad hoc committee's not recommending their grant.
Okay, good. Well, I will be talking to them again, and I can
Sure.
talk with a
Yeah,
little bit
no,
of
we don't
intelligence
take
then
that,
about it.
we
No,
don't.
I didn't think you would.
We
I
just
just
try
wanted to
to
know what
be
it was.
careful
Okay.
about that.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Unless there's any other comments. Bob, all right, you want to come on, back up? You requested to speak?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council members, I'm John Purcell. I'm the Executive Director of Friends of the Desert Mountains, and here with our Secretary, Bob Hargraves. We just wanted to come and thank you for your consideration for this community grant. We're a partner with the City of La Quinta through Coachella Valley Conservation Commission and Land Conservation, but maybe in a bigger way, we're a partner with the city for health. We help with our volunteers leading hikes in the La Quinta Cove, and that's becoming more and more of a part of our mission. So on behalf of the Board of Directors, thank you, and a compliment, by the way, to staff who were great in assisting us with this process.
And I just came to thank you also. I think we all know that the mountains add a lot of value to the community, and we appreciate you being a partner and helping us care for the mountains. And we have acquired and are acquiring land within the city from willing sellers, and we acquire it and preserve it and pass it on, make sure it's preserved, and then we do excursions within the city too. A couple weekends ago, we were up on the Martinez Slide, enjoying the tremendous view. So thank
That
you
was
very
good.
much, and we appreciate the...
Yeah, Bob, that was going to be my question. How much activity does the organization tie in with the city of La Quinta and our hiking trails?
Well,
Sounds
I'm not
yeah.
sure if council and mayor is familiar with Bill Baker. He's somewhat legendary about hiking in the La
We know
Quinta
Bill.
Cove and doing work. He was up there this morning. Last weekend with Katie Barrows, he led a hike in the Cove. So we're out there probably, well, Bill's out there 2 times a week. And as far as land acquisitions, we made an acquisition in 2013, Section 5, and in Section 5. So we're active in the city of La Quinta and appreciate your help.
Thank you.
Well, and
I'm not going to ask you how you feel about an 8-foot-high fence around our mountains
Why
to
not?
protect the bighorn. I won't put you in that position, but
Maybe we could ask
we're
for funding.
dealing with that issue.
We appreciate not being asked, sir.
Congratulations, by the way, on a successful wildflower festival.
Thank you
The
very
opportunity to
much.
attend that was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
And our organization doesn't get involved in those.
No. I would stay clear of that as much as possible.
We buy land from willing sellers, and we take willing folks on hikes.
Yes,
Thank you.
and sometimes,
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to reports and informational.
Wait, we
The
didn't
vote.
take any votes on that.
On
Oh,
the
I'm
funding.
sorry, yes, excuse me. I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to see if the council would agree to bifurcation on the motion instead of all at once. Maybe 2 motions on approving or disapproving these applications.
I'm lost.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Desert Arc's request and the Friends of the Desert Mountains.
Second.
Oh, and you want to do the high school separately?
The other 2 separately, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, unless there's objections to it? Okay. All right, you...
We got a motion
you
and
got
a second?
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Okay. What about the second?
So then a question on the second one. Typically with most of the high school teams, clubs, et cetera, we've traditionally, it just seems like the pattern has been, it's been $1,000 per. So I guess the question would be, why did the ad hoc committee recommend 2?
Well, you can see the baseball boosters requested 5,000, and we dropped it to 2,000. And then keeping consistent with the softball boosters, the same 2,000. I didn't know of any precedent of $1,000 on anything regarding the kids. So that's why we had left it at $2,000 a person. And you can see with the amount of funding available versus that in the grant, there's still a substantial amount remaining to be carried over into the budget. So I think we only spent, of the 24,900, 11,000 was in this request. So that's leaving, what, another 13,000 into the next year's budget. So that's why we did 2,000, because, you know, the softball. And we didn't know of any precedent of $1,000.
And it wasn't really precedent, just
Yeah.
seemed like there's been a
Question.
pattern.
What have we done with the high school in the past? Has it been 1,000 or has it been sometimes 2,000? No, I don't think anything over that.
No, nothing over that, and it's not a precedent. But in the last few years, when we've pared that back, we have been talking about it being $1,000. We
Yeah,
talked about it, but you're, Councilmember Osborne, you're correct. The discussion ensued about we have more money and they've asked for more than this, and maybe we should consider it this time. So that's actually the discussion that took place at the ad hoc committee.
Yeah. In the past few years, with the economy the way it was, and you know, with our grant
That's right.
moved down substantially, we cut back on it, but things are a little bit better now this year. So the object was, well, maybe we could help them a little bit more than what we had in the last few years.
Well, I happen to think that the $1,000, I was comfortable with the $1,000 request from the school organizations for the last several years. And I really am unhappy to see it jump back up to 2,000, because it kind of moves fast once it starts to move. So I will be voting no on the 2,000. If somebody wants to consider making each of those 1,000, then I would.
And why is your 1,000 versus 2,000?
Well, basically because I really think that the grant program is inappropriate for municipal dollars to begin with.
So you're going to take that out on the kids here?
I'm not taking anything out on the kids. What I'm doing is doing my fiduciary responsibility of what I think municipal dollars should be going for. And we have been through a substantial decline in revenue sources. And for the last several years, I have said that over and over again. It's not new, and I'm not taking anything out on anybody. I'm just concerned that the employees have been very considerate with their position. We've cut back 25%. Our revenues were 25%. Yes, they're starting to climb again. Isn't that great? Yeah, but we have a heck of a pocket of money or funds to replace that we've lost over the last several months due to the redevelopment agency. And I think that's more important than this.
And we, in the last budget, we reduced this fund.
Yeah.
Substantial.
Substantial.
Yeah.
So we did reduce the fund as a whole, and we still got 13,000 plus that we're pushing into next year as well, given whatever we decide with the budget. But I think we substantially reduced the overall amount from previous
and
periods.
I think that's good.
I would ask that we leave the $2,000 each for the high school baseball boosters and the softball boosters for those kids.
Is that a motion?
Yes, it is.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Please vote.
Can we request that the school add a La Quinta banner to their field for the games? It's part of their donation.
Great idea.
Motion passes 4-1 with Councilwoman Henderson voting no.
One other question. Is there consensus
Yes.
on the,
Thank you.
oh, okay.
That's all we wanted to know.
All right. Is there consensus on a different way of doing this, as I requested, or Linda, that you mentioned, in terms of just putting it at the end of the report and not having to give us all the paperwork on it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm comfortable. I like to at least see this, a
We
quick
need to see
summary
that, yeah.
versus complete removal, but the, brevity is good.
Well, and I think I gave a good example by talking to folks at the Galilee Center. Had that not been on there, I wouldn't have known. I mean, they could be funded, but anyway, yeah, your point's very well taken. We're out in the community a lot, and we get asked about it, but you
So,
just don't.
so you want us to continue with a brief summary at the end and an explanation as to the ad hocs?
That would be fine with me.
Okay.
And just say, not recommended because was funded last year.
Okay.
Yeah. If it makes,
Yeah.
more sense to do that way, that's not a problem.
And then the last question, just to be clear, do you want all of the grant applications coming to the ad hoc committee to look at, even if there's an issue?
I think Linda had a good point in that regards, that, we could be asked outside, how come, and we wouldn't know, and that,
Well, some of these groups
other
have-
than those
yeah.
on the committee.
Some of these groups have actually asked about the grants, and I always refer them to the application on the website to submit something. So whether the timing's on or off, or where it lands, I mean, at least I know that they're out there requesting whether they might meet eligibility criteria. So I kind of like to see, as an ad hoc, I'd like to see that.
What staff could do, and I believe this was brought up at the ad hoc committee last time, is as staff, we can go ahead and let the ad hoc committee know as soon as possible which grant applications are ineligible or, so forth, ineligible according to the grant guidelines. As far as consecutive year funding, we can at least let you know that a little bit more in advance. So we'll still make you aware, but you will also let you know which ones you really don't have to review if you choose not to, but
Yeah, that's
they'll
great.
still be in there.
Very good.
Okay, good. Thank you, Edie.
Thank
Rob?
you.
Okay, we'll move on to reports and informational items. Linda, you want to go first?
Sure, I reported last time on Conservation Commission and Energy Environmental, so this week, last week I was able to attend the CVB meeting, Convention Visitors Bureau, and I believe you will be getting a copy, if it's not already in your mail.
We already got it.
Okay, good, of the annual report, and I would just call your attention to really page 5. Kind of gives you the key results in terms of the contributions that the CVB has made overall to the economic revenue sources, TOT, leads, things like that in our community. Also, May 1st is the Oasis Awards event from 3 to 7. That's the annual event that recognizes our local hospitality servers within the hotel industry, and it's based on nominations submitted by other hotel workers and concierge, valet, bellman, those types of things, and that's available for us to attend as well. It's a good celebration with a post reception. So I'll be presenting just some brief comments as vice chair, as Mayor Steve Punier, the chair, will be out of town, so we'll be plugging La Quinta just a little more than usual off script.
So he's either gonna be home or home.
Correct. And that's all I have to report.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Christie?
Yes, sir. Coachella Valley Mountains Conservancy, Buford Kreitz has been elected as the new chair. We approved 5 different resolutions, or actually, 4 resolutions for acquisition of land, different portions of the desert. And then there was a discussion of use of conservancy resources to develop a recreational trail improvement project on the north side of the valley, into Coachella. And the reason, let me go to this. The reason that we hadn't done it before was that I think the reason was that Indio I know Indio is not part of the Conservancy, nor is Coachella. They were at one time, but then they didn't have, at that particular point in time, there weren't any lands that they were affected by. So they dived out, and we're talking to them about coming back in again. But these trails, hold on just one second here.
North of
I think so, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not able to find it right at the top of my head, but I can tell you next time exactly where it is. But at any rate, they are investigating it right at this point in time and trying to figure out what the cost would be to do some trails on that side of I-10. And that's pretty much it for the Mountains Conservancy. CVEP had their last meeting here at the museum in La Quinta. And our Mayor Pro Tem gave a very nice opening statement.
Thank you.
Thanking everyone for being here. And then Les gave a presentation, which was way too lengthy. Just kidding. No. He gave a presentation that was wonderful on economic development, what's going on in the city, and was very proud. Did a great job. The publication of the Thrive magazine that we've been asked to fund the first publication has been pushed back to April 27th. I think there were some folks that didn't come on board because it kind of came at us sort of fast. Michael Shepard has been hired to do the Blueprint 2.0, and it's just a review. I think it's been like 5 years since it was reviewed of the original Blueprint for CVAP. See if we need to add, delete, whatever. So he gave a presentation for what he's doing, and then asked for audience participation. And lots of folks were concerned about agriculture not being more prominent. What's the word I want? Not being part of the, well, they have the arts.
Yeah, more integral part of the
Yeah.
overall economic development for the
Right.
east part of the valley. I mean, it wasn't in the first blueprint, so
No.
they're gonna make sure it's in the second one.
It's in the second one. Yeah, and it needs to be because it's
Oh, absolutely,
huge.
agriculture is a big
Yeah.
part of it.
And then we also talked about adding more emphasis on technical schools. And when they talk about college career pathways, I think the career part kind of gets lost in the shuffle of the college.
Right.
And I was saying if they could delineate that a little bit more so that kids know that it's not all college, they're also looking for technical
Trades.
schools, trade
Right.
schools, thank you.
Trade schools,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. And David Robinson has been hired as the in-house GIS coordinator. So there's a lot going on. If you read the paper today, there was an article about CVEP, and
Yep.
so,
Tom?
yeah, it's, okay, I don't need to give my opinion on that. That'd be editorializing. But anyway, it's worth reading.
Okay. Terry?
Well, being since the very first part of April, all of my CVAG meetings that were not held in March have not had time to be held in April
Right,
yet, so I
right.
won't be reporting on any of those. I did want to bring along a commuter alert. I don't know how many of you have occasion to be on the I-215, but it's going to be closed on all 4 weekends in April. And I didn't bring enough of these, but I'll leave it with Wanda if anybody wants copies of that.
15, how far?
Sorry.
All the way to Vegas?
No, but just, sugar, I didn't print the map, so I'll get it for
Okay.
her. Yeah, it's just outside of San Bernardino and,
No,
yeah,
okay, that area in there.
yeah.
Back roads.
Back roads, it's gonna be a mess on the weekends anyway.
Yes, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
And also just a notice that the governor's 2014 budget proposal included a line item that was $351 million in early general fund loan repayments that were not due until future years. Funds from the repayment of the loans include $100 million to cities and counties for preservation of local streets and roads that will be allocated using the existing highway user tax formulas. And then there's $9 million for active transportation projects and $5 million for environmental mitigation. So we're going to get some kind of a bump here before long, before somebody figures out what that formula is.
Before they decide not to give it to us.
We'll see.
Yeah, right. I believe that's all. I have an upcoming meeting with the board, a League of California Cities Board meeting in late April, and a revenue and tax meeting on Thursday of this week. And the discussions are continuing on the CITES question regarding sales tax revenue. And we were on a conference call yesterday, and I've just made it very clear. We talk and we talk and we talk and we talk, like I talk. But the bottom line is there's only one big question. Is it going to be the point that it's been shipped from or the point of delivery? And we think it should be the point of delivery, CITES. And the cities in California that already have agreements with a lot of wholesalers, and they have wholesales in their cities that they get all of the sales tax based on point of where it's being shipped from.
Right.
So there's going to be a big fight. There's going to be a big fight. So what we need to do, we can't do anything until we solve how we're going to go forward.
Yeah.
And I'm recommending that we just start fresh. Like a new day tomorrow. Everybody that's got their deals, they have their contracts, they've got them, we can't change them, good for them. But moving forward, we go with location. But we'll see how that goes. It's probably gonna take, I don't know if it can be done in a year because it'll have to be legislation too, and then, then that will
And it takes time.
Yeah,
And
it's
then-
changed the way business is dealt with.
well, not really.
Well,
Because,
many of clients, it's a matter where it's delivered to.
yes, well,
And
that's
so-
but that's the same as going to the store and buying it, the sales tax stays here.
Right.
And if we
Right.
buy it, over the internet, we want the sales tax to
Right.
stay
Shipped to
where it's
California,
yeah.
California
Right,
gets
right.
sales tax.
You bet.
You bet.
So it's gonna be a sticky wicket.
Okay. Lee?
Yes, sir. I don't have anything. Quite all my meetings are next week, actually. I got the IID ECAC meeting, and I'll be going to the CVAC Conservation Commission meeting, as well as the Energy Environmental meeting next week. You're welcome. I'll be taking care of that next week. So I'll have more on the 15th.
Okay. Okay. Well, the only meeting I had was with Sunline. I'm sorry Lauren didn't stay, but I did want to bring it up. The one great thing is we finally got
Your
the
budget.
final on the audit.
Yeah, yeah.
It's taken months
Yeah.
to do it, but we finally got it after 2 extensions and that. But it's been approved and everything went fine in that. There was a lot of things that needed to be taken care of, and they have been taken care of. The second thing, it was interesting, I got an email from Lauren, and I'd like to read it. It's just short, just one paragraph, and then it says, I am pleased, and this is to the Board of Directors, I am pleased to inform you that we have reached a settlement with the union on all contractual matters. The Sunline team did a fantastic job reaching a settlement faster than any other California property in recent history and probably across the nation. We will provide more information on details soon. So we're through that, and that was very interesting of the speed that they got through working with the unions to reach a settlement. So we're very happy about that. I think our staff did a wonderful job.
Seems she's done a great job since she's come on board.
Oh, she's worked very hard. She's got a world of experience in that, and she brought that experience with her. But don't discount what Oglesby did prior to that, because there was a lot of things that were brought up initially, and that she picked up on and moved forward. But Lauren's done a wonderful job, so we're very, very happy that we were able to hire her and bring her to the West Coast. Okay. With that, department reports, city manager,
We have none.
city attorney,
No report?
city clerk,
No report.
And any of our city directors? No? Okay. We'll move on to mayor and council members' items. Anybody have anything? I have a few, but go ahead. Anybody? Christy?
I received an email from the Desert Charities, and they said that La Quinta has always done such an incredible job that they wanted me to be their community nominee to work with you on that. And I was very pleased with that. It wasn't so much about me as it was La Quinta, what everyone has contributed here.
That we added to
Yes.
what they had been doing in the past.
Exactly,
And that we had that other dimension that was put in there because, and I think, and let's be honest, it was brought up because for years, none of our charities in the city of La Quinta were given any money.
Right.
And you know, and that kind of bothered me in that. And although, you know, they don't do it much, but at least the Boys and Girls Club of La Quinta gets a separate check every year.
Yeah.
And we recognize the fact that we want to make sure that our citizens understand, because, you know, we're disrupted during this period of time, and the Bob Hope Classic and the Humana, that at least one of our charities is acknowledged, and the funding goes there. Now, what Mr. Duquette does with it, I don't know, but at least it is there.
We know.
But we know that it's directed to the city of La Quinta and our Boys and Girls
And the
Club.
La Quinta Club, right?
And the La Quinta Club, yeah, absolutely.
Now, you've done the visitations. Have you
Yes.
done the committee meeting yet, or is
Yes.
No, it's April the 11th.
Yeah, I've done mine.
Yeah, I've done the
Okay.
visitations.
And does it look like the dollar amount that they'll be giving
We
is
don't
higher,
know.
lower? You don't know yet
We
until the
They
11th?
can't give us an idea of what we're talking
Okay.
about. I have some questions we want to ask, but no, it's great. I did fine.
The rescue mission?
Shelter from the Storm and the Rescue Mission in that, and they're all well deserving.
Yeah,
And
Oh, they are.
They take care of our citizens.
Yes, they do.
Very well
Especially
run.
out here,
Yep.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yep.
They're very capable people,
Right.
every one of them that I've talked to. So.
Good.
Also, I just want to mention that I'm, again this year, this will be the 5th year in a row, I'm judging the Best Moms Contest again. Are you doing that?
I took a pass this
Took a
time.
pass on that?
Yes.
They used to give us written material, and now it's electronic, so it's really much easier to do. But it's so interesting, to me, to read what these little kids think about their moms. And some of them are just really heartwarming and touching, and I'm glad to be a part of that.
Yeah. Good. Okay, anyone else?
No.
I had a couple of things I'd like to bring up. A week ago Friday, I attended and did the opening remarks for the kickoff for the flag football at Mitchell Page School. There must have been close to 500 parents and kids out there, and just having a great time. And I told Frank this morning, the supporters and the sponsors and the coaches for the Flag Football League thanked the city of La Quinta for the things that we put in the Mitchell Page field, the lighting and the restroom facilities, and that we stepped forward, because the school district didn't have the money to do it, that we stepped forward to do this thing. And they were very appreciative, and they wanted me to explain and say to council, thank you very much. We really appreciate what the city has done on this thing. But it was great. The kids were great. I didn't stay around for the watching all the football games, but the kids were having a great time,
Shame
and that was the main thing. Secondly, I did a presentation on the city at Mountain View Country Club last week, and they appreciated it. I didn't go through the history of the city of La Quinta. We did more of the upkeep, updated things. I took the new layout from Silver Rock to them, because that was one thing that they asked about, because they're very close to where Silver Rock is, and they want to know how it affects their community, and that for what we had working with Meriwether to do. So it went over very well. Got a nice email from them thanking us for responding to their request to speak.
How many people in that community?
A couple of dozen in that. Tomorrow I am going before Colwell Banker over here. They've asked that I put on a presentation about the city. So tomorrow morning we had to move because we have a meeting with the Merv Griffin people, and that, so we moved that back a half an hour so I could at least spend an hour with Coldwell Banker, the real estate people there, talking about the city and what's it keeps me going, that's for sure. But it's interesting because it keeps me up to date what's happening. I was out with Frank this morning because I couldn't remember certain numbers and that we had because they change, as we all know. And that. But it's been good, and I think that the organizations that we talk to and that are very appreciative of what this council has done, is doing now and in the past, because they recognize that you know, we're the gem of the desert right here, and we may have a few little glitches here and there, but overall we've done very well for the city, and they appreciate it, and they see what we have handled within the community. So. But that is it.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I did remember that I went down to, see, memory again, to Strut Your Mutt on Saturday, and it's got a lot of press. And apparently, yeah, it did, and apparently it got press in the Press Enterprise also too, down in Riverside.
It was nice to follow up with you.
Yeah. But it was very nice again. I mean, it was very much different from before, so it was kind of getting to be routine, and that's good. That's the way you want events to go off. You know, no big surprises every time you have it.
A lot of dogs and a lot of people.
There was at least a person for every dog.
Yes, there was. Yes, there was. And some of them dressed up those dogs pretty nicely.
Oh, yeah, they did. Oh, yeah.
But it was fun. It was good.
Yeah.
Unless there's anything else at this time, then I will recess the city council to closed session, and unless we have a report that has to come back to council, we will adjourn at the end of closed session.
We'll come back here and at least report the adjournment.
You will have a report.
Yeah, we'll depending on what time it is and if it's locked up, I don't, we'll probably come back here.
Okay, so we'll recess and
Yeah, then we'll
come back.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.